Now, how would you characterize South Africa's economic outlook for 2026? And what do you see as the main domestic or external pressures?
Let me start by taking a step back and say over the past few years we've been working on some few targets. And we've built in a couple of pillars for the economy. Chief among those is macroeconomic stability. On that front, we have achieved a lot of progress. Our debt to GDP has begun to stabilize. We now have got and reduced our inflation targeting to 3%. All of those things are contributing positively to growth. We have embarked on a number of structural reforms which are beginning to bear fruit. As a result of that, we see our economy beginning to tick up. Okay, assuming everything remains the same, we're looking at about 1.8. There are headwinds, though.
So should households and companies expect any tax increases in the coming budget?
It's something I can't say. It's something I can't say. My team at National Treasury is always advising me not to raise expectations or do anything before budget. But by and large, overall, it's not something we intend making major substantial taxes. That I can say.
Minister, what is the single biggest risk that could cause this budget's assumptions to unravel if growth or revenue disappoint?
I mean, on the global front, the geopolitical situation poses a risk for us. We don't know how it's going to unfold and what are the implications. As you can see, as you know, South Africa is one of the open economy and embedded in the global economy on the African continent. Anything that happens, particularly in the Western economies, has got serious implications for South Africa. As you would have seen during the global financial crisis, we had a hit on the African continent. So on the global front, that to us is a worry.
But so it could be like a growth shock or tariffs or even a big dollar move?
All of those things. I mean, if, for instance, a trade war materializes between the major powers, it would have a serious impact on us.
Minister, how important is the independence of institutions such as National Treasury or the South African Reserve Bank in sustaining investor confidence, given some of the attacks that we've heard on the Fed?
Look, I can safely say those two institutions have demonstrated resilience and independence over the years, and supported by the constitutional framework which support the independence of those institutions. I think critically they are.
And that, of course, feeds through investor confidence. Is there a direct line into how investors look at your country?
Yeah, it fits through into investor confidence because one of the issues the institutional investors are looking for are credible and independent institutions. To that extent, we can say we're safely sound in that regard.
Can you give us an indication of how negotiations with the U.S. are going on trade and tariff and what you're expecting in the next 12 months?
We are engaged with the USA on trade and tariffs. We've had some time where we were not sure whether we're coming or going. But over the last 3 months, we've been able to table proposals on the tables. They've been able to table their counter proposals. And we're engaged in those negotiations where I'm not at liberty to divulge the details of the negotiations.
But are you quite confident that there will be an agreement in the next quarter, in the next 2 quarters?
I'm quite confident that we will have a deal with the United States of America on the trade front.
Minister, how would you describe this Davos?
Davos is an important institution in 2 respects. The first one, there's a lot of the side events. Some of them provide useful information, which we attend. But the second thing is the ability to meet a number of people and network. That, to me, is quite critical because some of those people you would have needed to travel to a number of different countries. You find them in one place, and in that respect, you save cost. So this it's a useful environment.
Away from geopolitics, it was a lot about AI. Yeah. How do you see AI changing your economy?
Obviously, AI is quite a critical instrument in changing the economy. The disruption is going to fundamentally change how industries operate. And in that regard, all countries have got to begin to use the technology.
Yeah. And Minister, I mean, we've spoken to a number of ministers, and there's always this tension about, balancing the need to press ahead with fiscal consolidation, whilst at the same time scaling up public investment to support growth and maybe spend a little bit more for the AI transformation. How do you see that balancing act?
The fiscal consolidation is a necessary but insufficient condition for growth. But it is necessary. Without fiscal consolidation, it's difficult to achieve all other associated growth-enhancing policies. In that respect, there's that tension. We've got to maintain fiscal consolidation, but at the same time, parallel to that, drive some growth-enhancing reforms.
Is it trickier than before because of the need to rethink growth?
It's tricky. It's trickier in the sense that there are a number of kind of puzzles in the game. We've just talked about AI. There's geopolitical risks. There's a whole range of other things which influence how you respond, how you navigate the landscape.